Good morning, afternoon, and evening, ladies and gentlemen. So this is going to be the first of the upcoming CFL previews. I'm going to be previewing and reviewing each week of the season as it goes along. So I'm starting now. Please make sure you hit that subscribe button and the like button down below. It does huge helps. And make sure to comment what you think of, well, the video and all that. So our first game, BC versus Calgary. BC versus Calgary. This should be a good game, especially after seeing the way that BC fought back into that game last week of BC versus Saskatchewan. Wow, I'm excited for this. In Calgary with, an unexpected loss to Toronto, where, Toronto, they really got going, but Bo Levi Mitchell, he just couldn't quite click the way that he sometimes is able to. But the thing is that going into this game, BC versus Calgary, I think BC's got to fix their QB situation. This constant switching between an injured and rookie QB is just not working. They need to either really commit to this rookie QB in Rourke, or they need to determine that the injury is not sufficient enough to the point where he can still play. But I don't know. I think they should give him a little bit of time off and get this figured out. But all in all, I think Calgary does take this game. I think Bo Levi Mitchell is going to find what works for him, and I think that'll be enough for them to get a win versus BC. And our next game, which because the first game was on Thursday, the next game, which is Friday, which is Toronto versus Winnipeg. I'm excited for this. Number one, because I'm going to be there. I'm going to be at the game, at the stadium, live reactions. Of course, just like the last one, make sure you check that video out if you haven't already. Toronto looked good. They looked good against Calgary, and obviously that's what made them able to get the win. But it's funny because they looked solid all around. There's not really any spot that I found as like a weak spot or whatnot. But I don't think, even as good as they looked, I think the Bombers just look better. And it's just because the Bombers have a stacked roster. And my concerns with the running backs, with Harris being out, Brady Oliveira, holy crap. I believe that's how you say his name, Oliveira. My goodness, what a game for him the other day. And I'm excited to see what he goes forward. When it comes to news on the Winnipeg and their practices, I know Jefferson was not practicing. The most recent one, he was not dressed. I'm hoping what it is that he wasn't injured and that it's more of a precautionary thing. They want to keep him all right, because obviously with them having Harris get injured in practice before the season even started, we want to avoid practice injuries as much as we can, because those are avoidable and they don't need to happen. And Mike O'Shea went out, Coach O'Shea, and said that he is confident that Harris will be back soon, so that's good. I don't think he'll be back for this game. I'm hoping he'll be back next week, though, so we'll pray for that. Caleros played great. He's got to stop running out of the pocket, though. He's got to stay contained and make those throws. Kenny Lawler, fantastic. I hope to see him making those great catches that he did last game. And I think Winnipeg will take this one. And our next game, which is Saturday. Yeah, I think these next two games are both Saturday. We have Montreal versus Edmonton. All right, so Montreal's first game of the season. And this is a very hard game to judge, because Montreal is they're kind of a wild card right now. We don't know, because there's going to be a lot of expectation on with the players that they have and this and that. But obviously that's not always going to come to fruition, with BC being just all over the place, with them being down 31-0 to them going on this crazy comeback. And then teams like Calgary, where Bo Levi Mitchell just can't get it going. So I really have no idea what's going to come out of Montreal. I'm excited to watching and find out. But one thing I will say about Edmonton is in their last game, they looked so hot cold, so inconsistent, where they'd be able to make these great throws, great catches, and really drive the Redblacks back. But then they just get stuck, and they couldn't figure it out. However, one thing I will say is one strength that Edmonton did have in that game was their kicker was absolutely stellar, with nailing some pretty impressive kicks from 52 yards and inwards and whatnot. And I think he went 4 for 4 that game, so he got 12 points just himself. So I think Edmonton is going to be getting a good amount of field goals. If Trevor Harris and I think Liam Walker, I'm not sure. If Trevor Harris and Walker get going, then I think Edmonton for sure wins this game. I think Edmonton will win this, even though that they lost to the Redblacks, who are supposed to be the worst team in the league. I don't know. They got talent on that roster. They just need to properly use it. And I think Trevor Harris and Walker are going to get going. I think, this first week is kind of like a test trial, and where players are going to be a little rusty. It's the first professional game in like almost 2 years. Not for all these guys. Some of these guys went over and played in the XFL and whatnot. But I think that they'll be able to get it back, and I think that Edmonton will win this game over Montreal. And on to our last game, which is Hamilton versus Saskatchewan. This is going to be a good one. This is going to be a great game. I think, will be by far the closest game out of everything we have here. I think that what's really important for Hamilton is they gotta get consistent. Like they'll like at the start of last game, they had this great first drive in which they eventually got a touchdown, but they just kind of shut down. It seemed like Banks and what's his name? Mazzoli weren't on the same page. And it just seemed like they weren't really connecting the dots. And Saskatchewan looked like they were pretty consistent all game against BC until they all of a sudden fell apart close to the end, and they almost lost that game because BC had both a rookie QB and a rookie kicker. So I don't know. I honestly don't know about this one. I think I'll go with Saskatchewan. I think they'll give them that slight edge. Just because I think Fajardo is a bit better than Mazzoli, and I think that it's really tricky to judge this one because Hamilton, if they're playing the way they can be the best team in the league. But we didn't see that last game, and I really thought with them playing against the team that beat them in the Grey Cup final that they'd really find something, but they really didn't. They found it for about 10 minutes. And that was about it. Their first quarter was their best quarter. And I don't know if they get that going against Saskatchewan. Now Saskatchewan, they fell apart at the end of last game. They gotta figure that out. But these are both two great teams playing against each other. So I cannot wait to see how this goes. If I can, I'm gonna be watching this game for sure. And I'm obviously gonna be rooting for Hamilton, even though because even though I don't like either team, I hate Saskatchewan. But I think that's about it. That's really about all I can say. So expect previews and reviews of each week of the CFL going forward. And make sure you like, share, and subscribe if you haven't already. Make sure you comment down below who you think is going to be winning each of these games. If you think what I said was bullshit or wrong, let me know. I'd love to hear it. So I'll catch you guys next time. Bye-bye.